the last video we installed the rubber roof and made the office watertight with windows and doors. In this video we'll be almost finishing off the room by putting in the insulation and plasterboard, plastering the walls and installing the laminate floor. Starting with the insulation, I've used 75mm PIR insulation on the walls, the same as what I did on the floors, but for the ceiling I've used 100mm. I spray foamed in the gaps, which might be a bit overkill, but I was really worried about keeping it warm in the winter. We also had to cut holes in the ceiling to allow for the downlights we were going to install later. I added an internal vapour barrier before installing the plasterboard. There are two ways I could plaster my garden office. I could do a full skim, which is probably what most people are thinking of when I talk about plastering. It's a thin layer of plaster on every surface. The other method is called tape and jointing, which is what I opted for in the end. I got some new tools as well as the tape required. Everything I bought is linked below. The clue is in the name for this technique. I taped all the joints and then only plastered the areas where the plasterboard met. The idea is that you angle the taping knife, pushing down on the plasterboard and easing up on the side where the joint is. I started with a 6-inch knife for the first layer and then moved to bigger taping knives for following layers. Between each layer I sanded everything down before applying the next layer. I think the better you are at tape and jointing plastering, the less sanding you need to do. I did a lot of sanding. I've installed a luxury laminate floor which I really like. I'll leave a link below to the company I bought mine from. I've got 4 quick tips to laying a laminate floor. Firstly, cutting random lengths helps get a natural look. Secondly, mixing up boards from different boxes to make sure any differences between batches are spread across the floor. Thirdly, leave space around the edges for the wood to expand. You'll notice that all of my plasterboard was lifted off the ground for this reason. Lastly, and most importantly, be really sure that each board is securely attached before moving on, because you don't want to be pulling up boards when you realise that there's a tiny gap in the middle of the floor where the boards didn't clip in properly. Unfortunately, I'm talking from experience.